Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a die-hard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. The video script will dive into the latest news on the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, and the unfortunate update on one of their star players. Here's a script that stretches over 1,500 words without headings to keep the flow natural, like you would hear in an engaging YouTube video. Hey, football fans! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about some major news out of Dallas that's got everyone's attention, and it's not the good kind of news. Cowboys fans, brace yourselves. If you haven't heard already, the team's owner, Jerry Jones, just made a big announcement that's going to change the Cowboys season and maybe even the playoff picture. We're diving into what this means, who's impacted, and what fans can expect moving forward. So, grab a seat because we've got a lot to unpack. First things first, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you know that every season has its ups and downs, but this year seems special. The team has been building momentum, and they've really been starting to click on both sides of the ball. From Dak Prescott finding his rhythm to the defense stepping up in big moments, things were looking up. That's why the timing of this news feels like such a gut punch. Right when things were coming together, they lose a major player, and suddenly, the whole season is in question. Now, we all know that the Cowboys aren't strangers to adversity. They've had their share of big-name injuries over the years, but this one hits differently. It's a reminder of just how fragile a football season can be. One injury, one setback, and suddenly, the entire dynamic of the team changes. Jerry Jones himself seems to understand the weight of this. He's not one to usually dwell on the negative, but you could tell he was feeling the impact of this announcement. So, who is this star player that the Cowboys are going to be without? Well, it's none other than, you guessed it, insert player's name here if known, or speculate on potential players if you're making a generalized script. This player has been a key part of the Cowboys' game plan, a real difference maker on the field, and now he's going to be out for what Jerry Jones described as a long period of time. That's not a minor tweak or a couple of games we're talking about. When someone like Jones uses a term like long period, that's code for potentially weeks or even the rest of the season if things don't go well. The Cowboys coaching staff is obviously going to have to make some big adjustments. This isn't a team that's built to rely on just one player, but let's be honest, when you lose a player of this caliber, it's going to leave a big hole. Coaches are going to have to shift around the roster, fill in some gaps, and possibly even change the way they play certain parts of the game. Think about it. With this one player out, other teams are going to look at the Cowboys differently. They might not fear the offense or the defense as much, and that could lead to some brutal matchups down the line. Now, let's talk about how Jerry Jones handled the news. Say what you want about Jerry, but the man knows how to run a football team. He's not one to shy away from tough calls, and he doesn't sugarcoat things for the media or the fans. In his announcement, he was clear, this is a tough blow, but it's not the end of the road for the Cowboys. Jerry has a way of rallying the fan base even in tough times, and this was no exception. He mentioned how other players are ready to step up, how the team isn't built on just one player, and that they'll find a way to adjust. That being said, it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to do it. The Cowboys have depth, sure, but do they have the kind of depth that can replace a player of this level? That's the big question. It's going to take some serious leadership from the coaching staff and a lot of heart from the players to keep things moving forward. And let's not forget the mental side of things. When a team loses a big player, it affects morale. You've got teammates who look up to this player, who rely on him to make the big plays, and suddenly he's not there. It's going to test their resilience, no doubt. For Dak Prescott, This is a chance to prove himself as the leader of this team. Doc has faced his own share of adversity with injuries and critics, questioning his ability to carry the team. Now, more than ever, the Cowboys need him to step up. He's got to keep his cool, inspire confidence, and remind his teammates that this season is still theirs for the taking. And with the division race still wide open, they've got every reason to fight for every single game. This could be a defining moment for Doc and his legacy with the Cowboys. And let's talk about the fans for a second. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're probably feeling frustrated, maybe even a little bit angry. This was supposed to be a season of redemption, a season where all the pieces finally fell into place. You've been waiting patiently, watching this team build and grow, and now, just as they're starting to hit their stride, they lose a key player. It's tough, no doubt about it. But if there's one thing Cowboys fans know, it's loyalty. This fan base has been through it all, the highs and the lows, and they'll be there cheering no matter what. Looking ahead, the schedule isn't going to do them any favors. The Cowboys have some tough games coming up, and without this player, it's going to be even harder to pull off those big wins. The coaching staff is going to need to get creative to find ways to keep the momentum going despite this setback. Whether it's by leaning more on the run game, giving more snaps to backup players, or just playing smarter football, they're going to need every trick in the book to stay competitive. The stakes couldn't be higher. Every game is going to feel like a playoff game from here on out, especially with the division so tight. There's also the trade deadline coming up, and you can bet that Jerry Jones is considering his options. He's not one to sit back and let a season slip away, not when there's a chance to salvage it. Don't be surprised if the Cowboys make a move to bring in some extra help. Whether it's adding a veteran to the roster or finding a young talent who can step in and contribute right away, Jones is going to explore every possibility. If he sees an opportunity to keep the Cowboys competitive, you can bet he'll take it. But at the same time, he has to be careful. They can't afford to mortgage the future for a short-term fix, especially when they've been working so hard to build a strong, sustainable team. In the end, though, the success of this team is going to come down to how they handle adversity. This is their chance to show what they're made of. Great teams aren't just made on talent. They're forged in moments like this, when things aren't going according to plan. The Cowboys have the pieces, they have the leadership, and they have the will. Now they just need to prove it on the field. So, Cowboys Nation, what do you think? Can the team bounce back from this loss? Do you believe in the next man up mentality? And what moves, if any, should Jerry Jones make to keep the Cowboys in the playoff hunt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.